What are the financial considerations that senior leaders need to think about before they make any kind of career transition?
Don't let the money get in the way of your goals and objectives. You could be the richest person at the cemetery, but not have lived the life that you want and dreamed of.
Welcome to the Career by Design podcast. I'm your host, career planning specialist and coach, Stacey Back, and I'm here to support you, the ambitious high achiever who's at a career crossroads. If you're a senior leader who's already achieved a lot of success, but considering what you want or how to reach the next level in your career, you're in the right place. I've spent the past 17 plus years helping high performers realize their career goals. And on this podcast, I'll show you how to develop the clarity, confidence, and right strategy to take ownership of your career success. All so you create a career and life by design. Let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Career by Design podcast with your host Stacey Back. And today I'm joined by the wonderful Julie Matheson. Julie is the founder of FinWise Leadership, a speaker and mentor to financial planning professionals. Julie is also a past client I had the pleasure of working with a few years ago when she was navigating her own career crossroads. And what I absolutely love about Julie's story is how she's used her wealth of experience in financial planning to create a new career supporting others in her profession. She's proof that it's never too late to reinvent yourself, and a great example of how to take the skills that you already have and apply them in a different direction. We are going to talk about how she made this shift, and I am really curious to hear her very practical advice for leaders that are planning their next career step. But also we're going to dive into a topic that we're both really passionate about, and that's the power of career conversations to actually develop and retain great people. So Julie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Stacey, for having me on your show. It's very exciting. I have been listening to some of your podcasts and they're inspirational. So thank you so much. And I hope this one is just as inspiring.
I'm sure it will be, Julie, because you are just such an inspiration. I had a coffee with one of my other past coaching clients a few weeks ago and was saying one of my clients was coming onto the podcast. And I just gave her a bit of background. She said, "Oh, she sounds so inspiring. I can't wait to listen in." So I'm sure a lot of our listeners will feel the same. So Julie, I like to kick off by asking guests to share a career crossroads moment, one that actually set them on the next path. And when you and I met, you had decades of experience as a financial planner, as a non-executive director, and you were exiting another career at the time. So if you can take us back to that moment and let me know what was happening and what actually led you to make a shift into what you do now.
Well, Stacey, amazing that I got to meet you. I think I found you on LinkedIn and it was so amazing to connect with you. I was at the crossroads of my career. I could go for 2 years, 2 dates that have been significant in my life. Certainly 2019 was a significant year because I'm in financial services and the government had just released the Royal Commission into the banking and finance industry. And fee for no service was a big deal. And also the education requirements of financial planners. So 2019 was huge. It was a huge year. And it was at that point I had decided that I was going to cease being an authorised representative. An authorised representative is somebody who can give advice on products and services from, a suite of securities and shares and things like that, superannuation. So that's a significant year for me, 2019. But the other one, when you ask me this question, I think back to, I'm going to say 1985, when it was a significant event in our family. Dad was working 4 jobs. Mum was so busy looking after 6 children. I'm the eldest of 6 children. And poor Mum and Dad were so busy and probably so broke that they received bankruptcy notice papers. And it was a significant time of my life and I changed careers. At that point, When that happened to mum and dad, I changed my career. I was in office administration. I was working for BHP. I just received my first lot of BHP shares. And then mum and dad have this bankruptcy notice. And I thought, right now I'm going to learn everything there is about money, because I wouldn't like that to happen to me. And I'd like to help mum and dad out of their situation.
Yeah.
So that's why I started my career in financial planning and became a registered, back then they were called dealers representatives. I could be registered, I could sell investment products, and I decided that education was going to be the key for me to understand money and understand my profession. So I signed up to do the Diploma of Financial Planning, and I qualified as a certified financial planner in 1992, and I was so excited. I was set on my way, and the rest is history. I've had an amazing career in financial planning, and
You really have.
Yeah, had my own license. I've trained and educated new people coming through the profession. I've had lots of clients that I've helped create wealth for, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been an amazing thing. But in 2019, that Banking Royal Commission came in, and there was a massive exodus of people from our profession. But I love our profession. I absolutely love it. And I knew that if I stayed the course, I didn't want to give advice to clients anymore, because I thought I had made enough people very confident in their money, and I wanted to change that now. I wanted to help financial planners, the new generation of financial planners, come on board after the Royal Commission. And the education standards had changed. You needed a degree, you needed to do a professional year, you needed to do an exam on ethics and the regulatory requirements, and it was a huge time in my life. And then I also met you. So it's
amazing.
an amazing career. Changes for me, just those 2 days, I think.
Julie, thank you for sharing. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you and have you share your experience, because I've had the pleasure of not just working with you directly from that time, but also having met a lot of people in your networks at different financial planning events that I've been to. And I've met some of the business owners that you've mentored, and the response is that Julie's incredible, the wealth of experience that she has to share. And I really love what you shared about your career, that really pivotal moment for you in terms of seeing what happened to your parents financially, the impact that had on them and that had on you, and this real drive, this motivation to educate yourself, empower yourself. And that became in terms of financial literacy and every aspect. And once you'd conquered that, it was doing that for other people. So for your clients, as giving advice as a financial planner. And once you conquered that, it's now on to, well, how else can I serve my profession now? And it's really, again, identifying that challenge that firms were having at that time. As you said, there's an exodus of people from the profession. There's more requirements in terms of becoming qualified. And it's how do we make sure we're actually educating this new generation of advisors that are coming through. So there's a really clear thread in here in terms of educating yourself, like this real desire that I know you've always had for learning and growth, but also giving back to your profession and sharing all your expertise and knowledge with other people. Thank you for running us through that. Is there anything you want to respond to with what I just shared?
Well, I guess a catalyst in my career is having the right people around me. And back in 1987, I was hired by the state manager of a life insurance company called Scottish Amicable. And I remember Gavin Ryan really well. He was instrumental in making sure that I did all the right studies and got my certified financial planning designation, because education wasn't a requirement in financial planning back in those days. But he pushed me. The other person that was significant in my life was James Doog, and he had his own license. And he volunteered his time a lot for the profession. So I took a leaf out of his book and I volunteered my time. So I'm a founding member of the Financial Planning Association, which is now called the Financial Advice Association of Australia. And I volunteered my time. I went on committees. I helped bring conferences to Perth, all for my peers. I networked right around Australia and met some amazing people who inspired me and were always there if I needed help. I've been studying personality profiling quite a lot in the most recent years, and my personality profile under DISC is a driver.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with that.
So that driver personality I'm a self-starter. I don't need a team around me. At least that's what I thought in my formative years in my career. I don't need a team around me. I just get on and do it. I don't need somebody to motivate me. You give me a goal and an objective or a problem to solve, I'll just go and do that. And it helped.
And it's done. Yeah.
It helped me a lot. I had my own license. I was looking after $60 million of clients' money, buying and selling shares. It was an amazing time of my life when I was doing that. And I just did that by myself. And I had an amazing team of staff around me. I had a great practice manager who made sure that anything I said was delivered, on time. And that's always helpful.
Yeah.
But it wasn't till later on when I reflect back on those times that I realized that there is no I in team.
Yeah.
And if you want to go far, you go with a team.
Go together.
Yeah, you go together. If you want to go quickly, go solo. And I was going quickly.
You go alone, yeah.
And I function quite well being alone. But actually, that's one of my greatest fears at this time of my life is being alone. So I have developed great networks of people, people like you, Stacey, who provided amazing coaching for me when I was at my crossroads. I did a degree in political science and international relationships. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I wonder if I could start my own political party. And I did.
Of course, because that driver in you, of course.
And I helped 80 candidates, run their campaigns. Unfortunately, none of them got elected, but I met so many people. I also wanted to be a better community member in my community because my dad was a counsellor for 15 years and I wanted to run in Dad's footsteps. So I was a counsellor. And I got to learn how all the planning works, how people can build businesses. So I learned all those things. But in 2019, I decided that I was at the crossroads. I didn't want to pursue a political career. I didn't want to pursue a local government career. And you made it so clear to me that my skills and strengths and passion is in financial services. And I can't thank you enough for that.
My pleasure. All the pieces were there, Julie, weren't they? Hindsight's a wonderful thing when we can look back at our career and there's a very logical sequence of events that have occurred there. I'm going to ask you a little bit more about the more recent transition into what you do now. But I think just pulling out some of the lessons here for others who are navigating any kind of crossroads or any decision really in their career when they're thinking, what do I want to do next? They're like you, they're successful, but they're unsure what that next step is. A couple of things that really stand out to me is the action. You are somebody who always, you said you're a self-starter, you're a driver. So you jump in and you take action. And this came up actually in a conversation I had with another guest yesterday. In those moments, it could feel uncomfortable. We could stick our head in the sand, but rather than saying, I know that I want to close this chapter here in terms of politics, local government. I know that I don't want to give financial advice anymore, but I don't know what is coming next. We could stay in paralysis there, but because you are such a self-starter, it was no, I'm going to take the action. I'm going to find those people who can support me, whether that is someone like myself from a coaching perspective or it's leaning into your network. You've taken action, and from day one of us working together, you had very clear goals and you're highly driven. And for the high achieving leaders that I work with, they are very successful. They are very driven people. But I think this is a really important is the uncertainty of not knowing what we want next can often keep people stuck in the same. And you've continuously put yourself out there. You've tried new things. You've gone after every goal, interest, followed those breadcrumbs and move really, really quickly. So I think that's a great lesson is don't be stuck in the uncertainty. Actually take the action. Actually find what interests you. Talk to people. Find those people in your network or find professionals that can support you. And the other lesson that stands out to me too is around the collaboration, the connection, the network piece. I relate to a lot of what you shared, and I think that's a common trait with business owners, particularly solo business owners. I've been in business for 12 odd years myself, and had a point where I did work in partnership with my now husband, and it just, for me as an individual who is like you, a self-starter, I like to get on, do things on my own. It was really challenging, and I can even remember my husband saying, "God, Stacey, if you can't work with me, how can you work with anyone?" I've learned a similar lesson to you, and I've seen you really lean into that. Yes, you've invested in great mentors as you were coming up through your career. You've given back to your profession. That's always been part of what you've done. But what the difference that I've seen, the Julie that I first met back in 2019 versus now, what I've really seen is that you've lent into that collaboration piece, whether it is these professional networks you're talking about, or your community, or even, other friendships and networks in your life, is that power of working with other people. That's what I've really, really seen, and you highlighted that. So I think the lesson here for anyone who is at that crossroads is to lean into your network, is to lean into those people around you, whether, as I said, it's an expert like myself with coaching, or if it's mentors, advisors, peers, people that can help you see different pathways, different possibilities, even help you understand what you're passionate about and what your strengths are as well. Is there anything you want to respond to there, or anything you'd add in terms of maybe one or two practical steps that you would recommend to anyone who is in that crossroads moment that you were describing when you closed the door on politics back in 2019?
Yes, one of the things about my network in financial planning is the network is right across Australia, and being part of an Australian association representing our profession, you meet such amazing people. Now, I was encouraged in 2006 to nominate for the FPA board at the time, and I got elected by my peers from right across Australia. I'm based in Perth, and it was incredible. I felt so privileged. While I was there on the board, I got insights into our profession, and I think one of the things when you are considering whether you want to stay in a profession or not, or change professions, lean into that professional body, lean into it, go to the events, see if you still love it. I still love the profession of financial planning, but back in 2006, the profession of financial planning was struggling with its identity. And when I joined the board, the FPA at the time had $6 million in assets. Now, people might think that was a lot of money back then, but it actually wasn't, because we were wanting to grow the profession, grow the educational standards, the ethical standards. Even though it wasn't compulsory law by government, we were still holding ourselves to a high standard. So having that money was really important. And over the course of 10 years, under the amazing leadership of Matthew Rowe, and I loved working with Matthew Rowe, we grew the assets and resources of the FPA to $16 million. And it was an amazing time of my life. I really learned about the power of a good team around you. And Matthew is amazing like that. He absolutely is amazing, and still is today, and we're still great friends. So that's one of the things about leaning into your profession if you are at the crossroads.
Yeah, great advice.
And if you don't love what your profession stands for anymore, and your goals aren't aligned, and that's it's something you just taught us at our recent session, if your goals are not aligned with your profession or the business that you work with, then it's either you take a new look at your goals, or it's time to move on. Nothing is set in stone. Nothing is permanent.
Exactly. And you've just shown us how you can even be in a profession for many, many years and then move out and do something different, and then come back, come back to the same profession later. And I know you never really left because you were always part of the board, but it just goes to show it's never too late to make a change, like you say, to reinvent your career. I love that insight. So for anyone at that crossroads, lean into your profession, lean into your professional networks. I think, Julie, you've shared some really great tips too, through, whether you are on a board or you're in senior leadership, that importance of a team. It's not just about you, it's about all those different perspectives, about that balance of everybody's expertise to be on the same page and to achieve those objectives that you had as a board and look at the amazing outcome there. I want to shift gears a little bit. Let's talk a bit about the work that you do today. So you started FinWise, Julie, at a stage when many people might actually be choosing to slow down in their careers. And I know you've shared with me many times before that you feel like you've still got so much to give, particularly to this profession that you love so much. So I'm curious, what's motivating you in this current chapter of your career?
Well, the significant things that happened that started FinWise leadership was in 2020, we were in lockdown. And I was wondering, how am I going to communicate with my network? I spent a lot of time trying to understand the technology, the tech stacks that were available. And I got to speak with people online as we're doing and find that I could communicate with all of my amazing network right across Australia. And I dived headfirst into that.
Yeah, as you do with everything.
And then I realized that there was a problem. We only had 400 new advisors joining the profession.
Across Australia?
Yes, only 400. And
Wow.
That was scary. That was after we had got from a peak of about 25,000 down to 15, 16,000. And there is a huge problem looming in Australia where $3.5 trillion is about to change hands over the next 20 years from one generation to the next. And for me, I felt it was so important that we have all the right people to be able to help the people of Australia navigate that huge transition of wealth, because it's just one of the things I studied while I was in lockdown was my French heritage. And there's the Napoleonic Code, which relates to finances in France. The Napoleonic Code came after the French Revolution, and Napoleon created the banking system that we now have today. Pretty cool. He also invented a code about how money would transfer from one generation to the next. And there is a law there that if you inherit money, it's your role and responsibility to protect that inheritance for the future generation. And I thought, wow, that is such a great strategy for our next generation of financial planners to take that on board. Because the financial planners at my age bracket, I'm 62 now, we have created a lot of wealth for a lot of people.
You have, yeah.
So those families have now got that wealth, and it's worth $3.5 trillion. That's about to change hands to the next generation. How's the next generation going to engage in financial planning? How they're going to engage with the next generation? And that's what my focus is with FinWise Leadership Australia, is helping the next generation of financial planners be that amazing support for those families as that happens over the next 20 years.
It's also about financial responsibility, isn't it? That's what you're talking about, because as you say, the wealth is changing hands and generations. And if these generations coming through that are inheriting this wealth are not financially responsible, they don't have the education, they don't have the skills. And let's be real, if we don't have the financial specialist advisors who are available and accessible to us, that is going to be a very, very big challenge, as you say, for Australia. So it's a very, very important cause that you're behind. I'm pausing this episode to invite you, if you resonate with what I'm sharing on the podcast and you're ready, into doing this work more closely with me. I'm currently enrolling clients into Ignite Your Career, my one-to-one coaching program for high-achieving leaders at a career crossroads. If you're a senior leader considering your next strategic step, but you're unsure what you want next or how to get there, this program is for you. Using my signature Career by Design method, we'll build the clarity, confidence, and personalized strategy you need to take ownership of your career success. If you're ready to be coached and mentored by me, I invite you to book a complimentary chat so we can explore if this is the right fit for you. Go to staceyback.com/consult to book your call and check out the show notes for all the details. I look forward to meeting you. Now, back to the episode. Just on that one question I meant to ask you when we were talking about the crossroads moment, talking about the fact that you've worked in financial planning for years. My question to you is, what are the financial considerations that senior leaders need to think about before they make any kind of career transition?
My first thing is, don't let the money get in the way of your goals and objectives. If you've got a good financial planner who's in your court, that's their job to worry about the money.
Yeah.
Because you could be the richest person at the cemetery, but not have lived the life that you want and dreamed of. And
yes,
that's certainly not what we as financial planners want for our clients. We want them to achieve their goals and objectives, their dreams. And if you're unhappy in your career, don't let the money stand in your way of making that important career change, because you know it's going to be good for your family, good for your personality profile, good for your morals, your ethics. One thing I liked about the Royal Commission is it brought in a list of 12 ethical standards by which financial planners must operate. It's by law. So if you haven't had a financial planner, know with confidence they have to abide by 12 ethics when they're giving advice. And the standard number 2 is you must act in the client's best interest. And standard number 6 is you must consider the future of the client and their family if they take your advice. Just those 2 should give everybody peace of mind that a financial planner is going to look after your best interests and your families.
Yeah.
So yes, please don't wait for the money to be a certain thing or look a certain way. The money will follow you. If you've got great energy and you love what you do, the money will follow you. It's happened to me so many times, thinking about mum and dad and they are bankrupt. Poor dad was working so hard but doing something he didn't really love. At the time he didn't really love what he was doing. And I remember having a sad conversation with dad that he had all these regrets. And and then he passed away. So I thought to myself, those regrets, I'm going to make sure that mum never has to worry about money ever again, and mum can live her best life. And she just passed away in February this year, aged 90. And I'm so blessed to have mum for all that time. But my thing was, mum was never going to worry about money again. And that's what a good financial planner can do for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Even if you're at the crossroads and you want to join our profession, I would love to talk to you. I would love to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Come along to your events as a starting point. I can include some links to the organisation, to your website as well, Julie, but thank you for sharing. As you were talking, I was thinking about a lot of senior leaders, executives that I work with who are set up very well financially. You are comfortable, but particularly when you're earning a very good income. For a lot of people, there is that fear around money, about making a change. And I noticed that they might say, for example, I'm going to go and do something different, but it means I'm going to have to start at the bottom. I want a career in financial planning, so I'm going to be earning a junior level advisor's salary. That's how they think. I'm going to start from up here and I'm going to be right down the bottom again. And the reality is that for me, having I work with a lot of leaders in professional services, I've got a strong background in legal recruitment, that it's never that you're starting at the bottom, because you're coming with all this prior knowledge, life experience, work experience. But I think people are very quick just to write off even exploring that as a potential path before they have all the facts, all the data, before they've run the numbers, because they just think it's not possible, or I'm going to have to take this huge pay cut to do it. And I think your advice is so important. That's where we need to actually remember that life is short. We're not going to take the money with us. Like you, I lost my dad. Well, he ran a very successful business. He and my mum were set up financially. Luckily, she's never had to worry, but he passed away very unexpectedly. He was 61, so he was still quite young. And he had worked so hard his whole life, and then thought, once I retire, I'll enjoy life. You'll be able to travel or do all these things. He did a lot of travel, but he didn't have that opportunity. And I think the point being is that we don't know how long we've got. So I think what you said around follow your dreams, follow what you're passionate about, do the work. Life's too short to stay stuck in a career that you really are not enjoying anymore. Before you write off a potential path or something that is of interest to you, make sure you do your due diligence. speak to those professionals, including your financial advisors, to actually give you the data and help you run the numbers. So you've got a full picture of what that is going to mean before you just write off that idea. So I think that's really, really important advice. Many of my listeners are in professional services, so they are going to relate to a lot of the issues, Julie, that you see in financial planning. What are the biggest challenges that you're noticing firms are facing right now when it comes to developing and retaining their great people?
I think the main thing is giving people a vision, a shared vision, and giving them career opportunities. And there are some people that love doing the same work over and over again. Yeah. You are a very valued person in a company because companies need stability. They also need the drivers. They need drivers like me. They also need stability and just navigating their needs, understanding their personality profile. And DISC is a great way of doing that because you don't need a degree in psychology in order to understand it. So that's why I love it so much, because I don't have a degree in psychology, but I love applying it. It gives you great tips on how to apply it. So I would suggest doing a personality profile on as many people as you can in your organization, and then make adjustments to suit each person, because people think differently, they communicate differently. Some people take information visually, some people take it by hearing. It's making those adjustments and bringing everybody along with the vision. One of my visions was to help consumers understand the cost of advice, and also help the new generation of financial planners understand how to price advice. Because if you price your advice too high, people aren't going to use your services. If you price your services too low, you're going to be out of business and you can't help your clients. And your clients want you to remain in business, so you have to charge the right fee. So I'm just about to launch a financial advice fee calculator to not only help advisors price their advice and their services, but also to help consumers understand what's involved with the services that they received and the different pricing that's available. So it'll give consumers choice, it'll give advisors certainty that they're going to remain in business to be able to help their clients achieve their goals and objectives.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we have to link to that in the show notes, because not only is it a great tool for any financial planners or financial planning businesses out there, but it sounds like also for all of us professional senior leaders listening, that it's a great tool when we're looking for our own financial advisor too. Because it can be overwhelming. So I think that's an amazing tool. And yes, what you're sharing around the organization, really making sure that you are having that understanding of the individual within your organization in terms of what motivates, what drives them, their personality, but also what their goals are, but also then bringing them together on that journey with that shared vision. I think that's really, really great advice and observations there. And what are you noticing advisors, so the professional year, but other advisors too, what are you noticing that they are struggling with the most right now when it comes to their careers?
I've just only today finished a mentoring call with one of my professional year advisors, and they're struggling holding themselves back because they're so keen to become a registered financial advisor and help clients. I love the enthusiasm, keep the enthusiasm there, but
rein them back a bit.
Them in, just gently give them another project to do so that they can say, oh, well, I really do need to just expand my horizon a little bit more but they're so keen to help their clients. And this profession is all about helping people, and I love helping people, and I love helping the next generation of financial advisors. They are just amazing people. Yeah, I learned so much from this new cohort of people in our profession.
Yeah, amazing. You can clearly see both your passion for the profession, but also when I asked you about what's motivating you, like what's getting you out of bed in the morning, it's very, very clear to see that's all there in what you just said. One thing I want to just highlight from what you just shared is that when we're talking about hiring, whether it's graduates or more sort of junior staff members that do require that upfront investment and training. And I know in the financial planning profession, it's very similar to law. You are investing in that professional year. Like, that's a cost to the business. It's an investment though for the business, providing that that person does become qualified and they stay with your business. It's a fantastic long-term investment. And I think something you just shared about someone even being really, really enthusiastic, to me, that's a positive quality to have though, because it's a lot harder to train, develop attitude and personality. We can train the skills, we can train the technical knowledge that they need to know in terms of giving financial advice or legal advice or whatever it is. But those people skills, the personality, the enthusiasm, the wanting to learn, that drive, these are qualities that you can't always teach. So I think that's just a really great, although it's a challenge in terms of we need to manage expectations and find ways to keep these, junior enthusiastic employees really, really engaged. Giving them work, sit in on meetings, like try different things, really develop their skills until the point that they can give that advice. It's a great lesson that hiring for attitude first and foremost, those personal skills over the technical. You invited me, you mentioned to speak about career conversations at a recent event for financial planners. And we were just talking before we jumped on the call, Julie, that my session has come up and the conversation around career development conversations has come up again in some of the other events more recently. So I'm curious, why do you think the topic resonated so strongly with the audience?
Well, our audience of FAAA members, they're mixed. There's people that own businesses, there are people that work in the business, and there are people that are in administration roles, and we want to retain our people. And so your approach to having career conversations as opposed to performance conversations really was a light bulb moment for the audience. Because if you look at financial planning is all about numbers. What are the numbers? Yep. Have you met your KPIs? Have you serviced X number of clients? Have you written X number of reports? It's all about the numbers. But you brought a very special conversation to the audience, and that was about the career conversation and having your goals align with the business and the business goals align with yours. I think it's a two-way street there.
100%.
Yeah. It was so powerful. I got a lot out of that. I mean, it took me back to when I had my own business. I'm purely a numbers. You could ask me any of the numbers about my business, I could tell you, but I don't think I encouraged or even tried to have career conversations with my employees other than I wanted them to be the best they could be, but I didn't know how to articulate that. I thought that just paying them their salary was my appreciation enough, but it's not. And sometimes salary, the top level salary isn't really what's motivating a person to stay in your business. So
100%. That's a really great insight.
Yeah, very insightful. It's come up, and I'm about to run the next workshop, the final workshop, and this is about women running successful financial planning businesses. And that is something that I will tease out of my panel, because I'll have a panel there asking them about their goals and how they share their goals and their vision with their employees, and what career conversations are they having with their employees, because I just think it's fantastic. Gold.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for sharing, Julie. And just for a little bit of context for anyone that's listening, what Julie's talking about is absolutely in organisation, in professional services we do, and any commercial business we do, your people have KPIs, you have KPIs, targets that you need to meet. And that's why we have these performance conversations that are linked to salary reviews, salary increases, bonuses, promotions, all of that good stuff. And we're not saying that shouldn't happen. What we are advocating for, though, is that in addition to that, we're having regular, continuous conversations throughout the year. So it doesn't need to be an hour. It could just be a 5-minute check-in in your monthly one-to-one about how are you going? What are you working on? What are your goals? Really, as Julie said, that two-way conversation. So you as a leader are actually sharing your goals and what you want. And likewise, as a leader that is running that business, that you're asking your employees about their goals, their objectives, you're providing feedback. And that's a continuous conversation. It's not sort of a one and done. And we pick up on any issues. We get an understanding of what, as Julie said, money isn't always the only motivator. There are other things. And if we aren't supporting our people to be able to achieve those things within our business, then they will look elsewhere. So it's a really important strategy and tool that we need to be using to actually make sure we're developing, getting the best out of the people who are there, but also that we can retain them for the long term as well. Curious about your upcoming, you mentioned your panel. From the work that you do, your experience as a leader, but also the work you do now with these business owners, what can leaders actually do to create a culture where career conversations actually happen?
Well, identifying the fears. For example, when I started off my mentoring for the professional year, there's only 400 new advisors that had come onto the register. And I approached many advisors to say, are you going to supervise the professional year? Are you going to hire a professional year advisor? And they said no. And I said, why? Oh, they might leave me after they've qualified and go and work for somebody else after I've invested all this time. So I think business owners need to identify their fears. And if that is one of your fears, that I'm going to invest all this time into this person, they're going to leave, well, then that's where I think your session, Stacey, about career conversations is so vital. It is so vital. If that is one of your fears, that your people are going to leave you after you've invested all this time and energy into them and resources, that career conversations is a game changer for you if you have those fears.
I think every business owner has that fear, but anyone can leave, not just your junior staff that you've invested the time and money in training. Anyone can leave at any moment, even your top performer that's been with you for many, many years. It's a very common and very reasonable fear that business owners might have. But the way around it isn't to ignore it or to stick your head in the sand and either don't address it or put off hiring a professional year advisor because of that fear. The way through it is hire these people so you can keep growing your business and keep growing the profession, but making sure that you are talking to your people at regular intervals and really understanding how are they going, what do they need support with, that you're giving feedback. Because you can absolutely invest the time in training them, but if you don't understand what motivates, what drives them, they could even have a belief that they're not performing or that you're not happy with them because you haven't communicated that. So it all comes back to that regular and ongoing two-way communication. Is there anything else you'd add from an individual perspective about what professionals can do to take ownership of these conversations? Because we've said it's a two-way discussion.
From an employee's point of view, I think, if you haven't had a career conversation, it's take the first step and make an appointment. And it might seem uncomfortable because you haven't done that or they haven't. But if you take the first step, you won't ever die wondering, if only I had taken that first step. And if you're the employer and you haven't had this before, likewise, make a time and take the first step. It might feel clumsy, it might feel awkward, but for me, when I feel awkward, it means I'm learning something new. I'm bringing new skills to the table. In the profession of financial planning, and same with law and accounting, you can do this role forever. It's a forever job if you love it, if you absolutely love it. And it's a people business. And, you might be able to calculate a person's tax return or write an amazing report to give them legal advice, but you're in the people business. And the sooner you feel uncomfortable about that, the quicker you will adapt and bring people around you, like Stacey, your amazing coaching services, bring people around you to help you navigate those opportunities for growth, personal 100%. Growth.
Exactly. I love that insight. Of course, it's daunting if you're an early career professional approaching your manager, but equally, as you said, it can be, really daunting from an employer perspective, from the leader's perspective too. So, but yeah, it's absolutely an indication that you are stepping outside your comfort zone, you're learning, you're growing. So, I think your advice, just take the first step, is spot on. And something I'm always banging on about is take ownership of your career as an individual, but likewise as a leader, encouraging your people to do the same. And this is just such a great practical first step example of this. Julie, you mentioned my work. I did want to ask you before we close off, if someone is curious about working with me, what would you say about your experience?
As I said, I met you via LinkedIn and I just found you very approachable, easy to share information with. You have the capacity to build trust very quickly. And having mentoring and coaching is a trust relationship, being able to trust that person with your personal information and them sharing it back to you in a way that delivers amazing value. And you certainly have delivered amazing value to me, and I can't thank you enough.
It's my absolute pleasure, and our collaboration and work continues together. So, and you know what, it's incredible. I always remember, Julie, when one of our very first sessions together, and I said to you, why aren't you mentoring? Why aren't you doing this as a job, like consulting to firms and providing that guidance and advice, of course, to business owners, but mentoring these financial advisors as well. I could so clearly see you in that role. So it's amazing to see you now in that coaching and mentoring role as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your experience as well and your kind words. Finally, for any financial planners listening, where can they find you and learn more about your work? And of course, any professionals out there, leaders out there who are interested in accessing your fee calculator when that does launch, where can we send people to find out more and to learn more about your work?
Well, I'd be happy for you to book a time with me if you go to my website, finwiseleadership.au. And you can book a time to talk with me. Love to have a chat, or you can call me. My phone number's on there. I'm happy to take your phone call, happy to take your email. But yes, welcome the contact and any conversations.
Everyone highly recommend reaching out to Julie for her work with those in the financial planning profession, but also, get involved with the FAAA. If you have any interest in the industry, you're thinking of a career opportunity to get involved in their events, or even to meet some leaders like Julie in the profession, have a conversation. But of course, great way for you to find your own financial planner as well. Julie, one question I love to ask is that this podcast is all about creating your career by design, not default. I'm curious, what does creating a career by design, what does that mean to you?
I think it starts with a puzzle that you want to solve. I wanted to solve the bankruptcy puzzle for my parents. So I designed this career and surrounded myself with amazing networks and my profession. I'm so proud to be a founding member of the FPA, now FAAA. I just think if you look back in your time and see a defining moment and say to yourself, where would that take me? What would I like to do about that defining moment?
Yeah, amazing. Julie, thank you so much for sharing your story, so much about the work that you do, that you're so passionate about, your profession, but also for your insights too, both as a business leader, but also your insights now as a mentor on how all of us in business can really work to take ownership of our careers, become better leaders, and also, really nurture, develop and retain the great talent for that next generation. So I'm so appreciative of your time and insights today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stacey.
That concludes today's episode. As always, I'd love to hear from you. If today's episode resonated, send me a DM over on LinkedIn and let me know your biggest takeaway. And if you're at a crossroads in your career, I've created a free assessment to help you identify exactly where to focus, whether it's clarity, confidence, or your career strategy. It's fun, fast, and will give you a curated podcast playlist, plus practical strategies to get started. Click the link in the show notes to take the assessment. Finally, if you're looking for direction around one immediate career goal, I'd love to support you in a 60-minute career strategy session. Or if you'd like deeper guidance to find clarity, build confidence, and create a strategy to take ownership of your career, that's exactly what we cover inside Ignite Your Career. You'll find all the details and a link to apply for your free 30-minute call in the show notes. And if you're looking for leadership coaching or development programs for your organisation or team, head to staceyback.com to learn more and book an initial consultation. Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end of today's episode. I can't wait to speak with you again soon. Thanks for joining me on the Career by Design podcast. Please rate, review, or share this episode with a friend if you found it valuable. I also invite you to connect with me further on LinkedIn or Instagram. And finally, if you'd like to learn more about how I can help you create a career by design, go to staceyback.com. All the links are in the show notes. Thanks again, and I can't wait to chat with you next time.